Moment of silence for Sheep's Wallet, please.
Hello and welcome to Granblue Radio. This is episode number 339. I called this one Spending Time in the Lab. Um, so I gave you a um, I gave you an agenda and an itinerary before we got in here, and I realized I have to violate it because I was just like, so I went to Japan in the middle of Exococutus, and how many guns did you go in?
I got three. I got one for a main hand and two special ones.
Okay. Um, I was like, oh, I don't need it. I have a Hraesvelgr. I don't need one. I don't even need the one. I'll just get like a special one. And then people looked at it and went, you know, this is the most attack you can get out of this slot for like an elemental grid, because um, light picks after like the non summon based ones after the Wemdis umbrella are just like, yeah, you can just pack these in. They have two really big skills. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. These EX weapons are deceptively good now that we're in the era of single Magna or single element or single primal summon.
Yeah. And also, I was on Japanese ping, so I actually got this gun right here while my like counterpart in Granblue EN, the East Coast counterpart, he was in line getting his tickets to Nagoya. We were in line for like 10 minutes, and I was just casually just one-shotting Exococutus and going, "Oh, okay, I finished one." And I'm just like, it's so fast. How could I not farm this thing? I haven't used it yet, by the way, because that's just how these things work.
Yeah, I was farming up my second one. I was like, oh, I'm only gonna do two. I can't zero button this. I don't want to grind that hard. And this thing just isn't dropping. It's taking forever. And then I finally got the fourth gun, looked down, and it had been like an hour.
Jeez. Anyway, DJ is on vacation this week. Well, he's also on vacation next week, but we might still do the episode anyway. But the point is that joining me is another crewmate, our wind expert, the one that we keep asking about, our cruise Romphia owner. It's Renoplos.
Hello.
Um,
I'm the goofball who bought the wind spear instead of
hey,
an Ereshkigal.
it's it is valuable science. All right, you have done invaluable contributions to Granblue science here. And so yeah, Exocucutus is done. It's in the books. We got a sand out of it. Yay, sand.
Yay.
Yay, sand. Um, the next thing that came out is this thing, the Alchemy Lab. That was September 6th. This is something that had been delayed for a while because they wanted to make sure that the rewards were good enough. Basically, they said balancing was a thing, and so the general thing is that you just take a huge amount of materials that you've gathered over the course of playing Granblue Fantasy. So here's my collection of sure, fine sand bottles. And I'm throwing 1,000 in the hole, and I get 10 items and 10 whatever fragments they're called, fragments of creation. And that's bronze. And so, the rewards themselves are all right. We can actually go and take a look at what the rewards are. So bronze, you can get like a grain out of them. There's earrings. Um, these are the minor ones here. But then you go up to gold extraction, and you've got like the earrings. Sure, you've got the orbs. So when I was going for this, I got a bunch of citrine awakening orbs, which when you're playing at the top end like we are, we're just like, oh, I love these things.
Mhm.
Um, and then like a bunch of other miscellaneous useful stuff. Astaroth Anima's in here, Dark Blades are in here, things that I just don't want to farm anymore, ever. Um,
Mhm.
did you get a bunch of weapon pluses out of this too when you were doing this, or have you not like thrown everything in here yet?
I haven't thrown everything in there, but I'm about halfway done with Snake Friends.
Okay,
I got a whole bunch of earrings. I got a whole bunch of plus marks.
yeah. The big issue that I have with this option is like the sheer amount of clicking it takes because
Hmm.
let's just see what I'm willing to throw into the hole here. I have it filtered down to just the things that are 5% or more, but if we go down to this level, it's like, um, I'm going to put in 300 Luteus Earth Centrums here, and like 200 of this one, and then we got ourselves, what else can I afford to throw in? Let's throw in a bunch of Gabriel Anima, and throw in a bunch of Uriel Anima, and now I've done all of that, and I get 10 extracts, which has useful stuff in it, but also 100 points. And it costs 50,000 or 30,000 to get the first like critical reward.
32,000 because you have to buy the dagger first, right?
That's right, you're right. And it's like you said you've only made it halfway there, right?
I have 13,000 fragments right now, and I have bought the dagger.
Yeah.
So just about halfway, yeah.
It's it's so much clicking. They
It's a
had
lot of clicking.
they had a patch note. It's like, oh, the count goes up to 1,000 now. I'm like, really? At once? It's like, no. You still only get 10 of these at a time. It's like, oh,
Right, because at launch there wasn't an option to dump 1,000 materials in. There was an option to dump 900 or 1,099.
yeah, it was weird.
It
So
was pretty
anyway,
weird.
so uh, as soon as they add a 0 to the number of things that you can trade in at once, I will be much more comfortable with this mode. Because like there's a perpetuity ring in here, and those things are useful, but they're not useful enough that I'm going to spend another like 3 hours of my life clicking around in this thing.
Yeah,
That's yeah. Go
that's what
ahead.
it took you, huh? 3 hours?
Well, to be fair, I was in an airport. So if I was on PC, it probably would have taken less time. However, I was on my phone. That also said, the fact that there's that difference is just yeah, I don't like it.
Well, another crewmate of ours was saying it took him 2 hours to get the snake,
Yeah.
and he was
It's
definitely on PC at the time.
yeah.
It is so much clicking.
And then what you get out of it right now is the current best Manitura in the game. It is almost a strict upgrade from Leviathan Mino. Um, because so here we go. We have Ouroboros Mino, and as long as you have a crest, you get 6 hits. That's same number of hits as Leviathan. You get a defense down stackable instead of the supplemental damage effect here. And instead of the chaser, you get additional supplemental as the passive instead of requiring you to hit the debuff. And so the supplemental is better because you don't need to keep eating meter for that. That'll happen no matter what. It's 30k plus 5k per crest, up to 55k, which is way better than Leviathan's over here. And it's just like, for speed purposes, it shaves basically a turn off of everything.
It also has just a higher damage cap than Leviathan does, so it hits harder out the gate.
Oh,
This
geez.
thing is really good. And it hits everything if you're in a fight with multiple enemies.
Oh, yeah, the 6 hits is random, isn't it? Okay, that
Mhm.
explains why Huang Lung and Keeling got way faster. I hadn't thought about that, actually.
It's really good, but it's also really expensive in terms of both time it takes to get, like actually to trade in the mats to get it, and also in terms of just materials.
Yeah,
Like
do you even
I'm
mind the sand?
um not so much. I think it's worth the sand actually,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also done with the sand summons, so
Right.
I don't have anything that's going to require it in big chunks anymore. I literally don't have enough just random materials to finish the Manitura. And
Yeah,
I've been playing for a pretty long time.
yeah. Like I've dumped all of like almost all of my urns, my these urns over here. I had multiple thousands of these accumulated over years of playing this video game, and by the time I was done getting to um, the Ouroboros Mini, I actually didn't have enough water urns to uncap my guns. It's just like that's ridiculous,
It takes so much. Like, I shoved 1,000 silver centrums into it, things I never thought I'd say when I started playing this.
right? They those
4,000. 4,000 malice fragments, probably around 10,000 dragon anima.
I shoved 100 ultimate memories into there because I'm just like I don't. I could get more of these if I need to. I shoved like at least 5 digits of the tier 8 materials here, the remnants of the Starsea's Edge from Seaphon, and like
Mhm.
the Automa God platings. Yeah, it is not priced to move. It is priced to reward for long dedication.
Mhm.
And yeah.
It
Uh
is. If you brick farm, then you probably have enough materials to make this.
if
If
you
you don't brick
hardcore, yeah.
farm,
Yeah, that's fair. I was sand farming and it was doing all right, but it wasn't, yeah. Sand farming is on a completely different level than brick farming.
mhm.
All right. So, that's the Alchemy Lab. Like I said, number one thing I would like, which doesn't even help me anymore, but I would like this for future generations of people trying to go through all these clicks, is please let us have more than 5 at once.
I
Please.
I am actually fine with the costs. It's it's something that is going to be an upgrade for dedicated players,
Right.
but I'm fine with this just being like a goal that you work towards over time. I briefly considered trying to mash out enough fragments for the Manatura before Unite and Fight, but then I realized it would probably take me like 30,000 dragons.
Ugh. You did the math on that
And
one? Oh,
I did some like basic math, but it would take me in the 10,000s worth of dragons to do it. And I'm just like, no, I'm not doing this crap.
yeah, yeah. Like just naturally play the game and it'll come hopefully. Like that's oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
No.
I do think for other like for players who are not super end game though, being able to trade for an extra copy of the Magna 2.5 weapons is really good because that means you can get a full copy without ever having to actually get a drop now. So you can get like a 4-star Spirit of Mana, Pillar of Flame,
Hmm.
Coruscant Crozier.
Yeah, and with Magnet 3 coming soon, then we'll see how long the shelf life on these things is. Uh Let me see. Are they in the 8th anniversary ticket or ninth anniversary ticket? Let's see.
I think so. I think I spent mine on a
Yeah, you
stick.
can get one here. You can get the Grimnir spoon. So if you have just existed for long enough, then you can get your 2 spoons or whatever. But yeah, that's that's a lot. I don't want to do this anymore. I I idly clicked around a little bit while we were talking, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's move on. We're moving on from this. Um,
Done enough for a lifetime.
yeah. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the 12th. We had a rebalance. So the first thing was that there were 4 characters and then 5 classes that got updated. So let's run through those. Um, so you spent more time with Wind than I have. So
Hmm.
here's UL. So
Hmm.
and we had some of the numbers. Um, so we'll start at the bottom. So fanning the Fox Flames for support, they changed it so that instead of just getting end cooldown and 100% meter, she also gets full HP and all of her debuffs goes away. So it's like Kumbira and effects like that. I think no, it's not Kumbira. It's Makura. Makura has that.
Yeah,
And then we have Zuigetsu they added, so she gets boost to dodge against foes with Fox Flame, and it's 40% is what like game with testing found.
which is huge. That is a lot of dodge.
And it says at the end of any turn where you will didn't take damage, she gets Hien Homura Gaeshi, which is now 8 hits against foes with Fox Flame up here. Like so mine hits with just 2 so I have let's see, 2 Elmier's Beaks and I have 1 Cleome. And for me this thing hits for like almost 9 million. You have a much better grid than I do with cat daggers and things like that. How much does Hien Homura Gaeshi hit for you?
I have seen this hit for over 10 million.
Yeah.
on the Bub's turn.
Oh,
On the quote unquote regular turn, it's 9.8 million. This is a lot. It's really, really hard. And it goes off a lot.
yeah. Um, against Galleon specifically, it goes off literally every turn because Galleon just can't do anything while
It is
she's on your team.
it is super unfortunate for that fight.
What about Bennu though? Because Bennu actually does try to kill her.
He does, but she's really good at dodging. And if you're running some of the other really strong characters in Wind, like Grand Ewiar, Eliza, then they're either providing her dodge or they're taunting attacks off of her. So it still goes off all the time.
Oh, jeez. All right, but yeah, so that's he and Homer Gaishi over there. The other changes, so Balmy Breeze, you activate this when you CA. So for full auto, it's another way of hacking on heals during full auto. Do you
Mhm.
how often have you actually turned her CA on?
I don't usually run CA on in Wind anymore
Mm-hmm.
because Mana Diver is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the testing I did with CA on, it
Mm-hmm.
it activates a lot.
Right.
She gets a lot of meter. And the other thing is that since her CA provides Fox Flame now, her
Mm-hmm.
passives are always on. So she's
Right. There's.
always going to do double cast Homer Gaishi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's
If I turned CA off, I did notice that there are some turns where it's back to just being 4 hits.
mhm.
But if you have CA on, so when you're doing, say, Nightmare 200 next week, do you think you're going to be using UL?
It's a good question. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of depends on whether or not the boss does full party autos, to be honest.
Ah, that makes sense. So if it does full party autos, then UL might not make the cut because she still has a chance to get hit and not do her thing.
Yeah, and it also depends on whether or not I leave CA on because hey, she dodges all attacks on CA as well. She has what's it called? Dodge
Uh,
all.
Dodge all, yeah, up here. Um, the so yeah, that's the whole package. Like the description I saw of UL is basically that she is an easier to get Halloween Lich. Like she's on that level, but not quite like at the same level as Halloween Lich for these things. But she also attacks. So
Yeah, she does attack. I think that's a fair assessment.
okay.
Um, Lich doesn't cleanse, which is a big deal,
Hmm.
but UL doesn't delay, and that's also a big deal.
And UL doesn't have a dispel either. She has a clear instead of a dispel.
Yes,
Okay. Hmm.
I think that's a fair assessment of the character though. They do very similar things.
Hmm.
I think UL's damage obviously is going to be a little less consistent,
Hmm.
but they're both doing 10 million at the end of the turn.
Okay. That's fair. Is there a situation where you use both of them, or is that just too much?
I tried running both of them actually. It was hilarious, but I don't I don't think they work particularly well together just because UL needs somebody to keep the heat off of her.
Hmm.
And well, it's not that I don't think they work well together. It's that I would have to either run somebody to tank for UL or Grand Ewiar.
Mm.
And that's a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, that's fair. So Grand Ewiar, and then either UL or Lich, and then like a tank is your thoughts for right now.
Eliza
Hmm.
Eliza is really good.
Which actually brings us,
Vania,
yeah,
honestly.
true. It also kind of brings us to Siegfried because
True.
so what we have here is that Siegfried used to be sort of a tank nuker, and he wasn't particularly like the best at either of those. And so they've leaned further into the nuker part with this. And so let's go take a look at the numbers here. So first of all, his CA now activates his nuke, and it goes twice when he's in the red. And they changed his skill 3 to give him a bunch of buffs. And the big thing is that he eats 80% of his current HP, so he's instantly in the red on turn 1 before he presses Deliverance. Um, and then, so the numbers that you get from that buff, let me make sure. So it's 50% defense, which is actually, it's decent but not amazing. He gets hostility up. According to the numbers that I'm seeing, it's plus 10.
I'm seeing
Uh,
plus 30.
plus 30? Oh, right, sorry. Uh, I think it's everybody. It's based on everybody having a 10 value. So he gets plus 30 so that he has a 50-50 chance of being targeted.
Hmm.
He drains for 1,000, which is sure whatever. It's there to keep him from getting out of the red, basically. He gets a 30% damage cap up though, and then he takes a maximum of 5,000 earth damage.
Hmm.
Um, and then at the end of every turn, when he's almost knocked out, then he activates the double nuke again. The double nuke is what, 63.5 million? No, not it's 630k. So it becomes 1.5 million ish, and then it goes up to what are your numbers for this thing for when it double casts?
Let me hop in something and find out.
Okay, and then he has tank encounter, and he has double strike on message ace here. And so, like, basically the plan is get him to as low health as possible, keep him there. Every turn he will double nuke. Um, every time he hits message A, he will double strike, and as long as you can keep him alive, and it's not necessarily the hardest thing to keep him alive with the 5,000 max damage he can take, then um, he keeps chugging along. But I don't know where this gets used at the moment. It's just generically good without being specialized good, I guess.
Yeah, his capping damage taken at 5,000 is good because that'll prevent him from just like getting murdered outright by autos, but only if you have a lot of HP or he's not in the red. I think that's kind of his big problem
Hmm.
is he needs to be in the red, but he also drains himself out of the red pretty easily, and Wind is really good at providing passive healing and dodge to prevent
Right.
him from taking damage to stay in critical.
Hmm.
And then against anything that actually hits hard, 5,000 Earth damage capped at 5,000 is nice, but for example, in Tier 8 Siegfried, that's how much Siegfried is hitting for anyway.
And
And
then,
he's just
like,
slapping your whole party for 5 grand a turn.
yeah.
And
Is that the same deal in Bennu? Bennu also just slaps Siegfried around and kills him?
um
Or no? Can Siegfried survive that?
I haven't tried him really in Bennu.
Hmm.
Probably he just dies though.
Right. So it's hard to find the sweet spot of just finding somewhere where he can go to the red and stabilize there, where he takes just enough damage that the turn where he heals for 4k from attacking twice. Well, he heals for 5k actually, because he double strikes, so that's 2,000. Then he tank encounters, and that's another 3,000. So he just heals himself for 5,000, and under a lot of circumstances, that does take him out of the red, doesn't it?
Yeah, unless you have just a metric ton of health.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
think he'll actually be pretty good for Unite and Fight.
Hmm.
Somebody in chat brings up bringing out an Evoker, and if you wanted to bring Esta out for like Nightmare 200 or something,
Hmm.
then he'd be a pretty good candidate because he's going to debuff and he's going to do a lot of damage before he drops.
Hmm.
And he'll probably die right around when you really want Esta to be in for dispels.
I can see that
Um,
actually. Yeah.
Also, that his skill hits for around 2.8 million for me.
Okay. So
It's
2 point
significant damage.
extra 3-ish million on his charge attack and at the end of every turn. That's
Mhm.
very good damage. And so if you can time it so that Siegfried falls over right to bring at the right time to bring in Astariola. That sounds
Hmm.
worthwhile. Well,
Per hit,
jury, yeah,
per
jury
hit
is,
actually.
yeah.
So it's more like 5.5 million
Oh,
every time if
oh,
he's in the
oh,
red.
oh. Okay.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, yeah. But again, we'll see where he can fit in. Like, I can see him as a timing push for nightmare stuff and just bringing in Astariola.
Hmm.
That would be good. Jury's out of Catsalia. We'll have to see what happens with 5-star for that one.
Yeah. I think he is generically very good. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not. Maybe he doesn't just dunk on any content really,
Mm-hmm.
but he's functional for just about everything you would want. He's just basically a big enmity meathead.
Oh, yeah. I that sounds fine actually. And like I said, like if you can get him to die at the right time, then this sounds really good.
Hmm.
Like one of the reasons I use Ingve specifically is because Ingve has the exact right skill set to die in exactly 2 turns in Siegfried.
Hmm.
It's like, all right. Other people use Rosetta because she dies in 1 turn. It's like, well, both work.
Hmm.
And
I
now
kind of
people are
wish he had a.
using. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say
Um,
people are also using Eliza for that purpose because she just doesn't die. They
yeah,
just want to
Eliza
keep her
is
out.
she's really good at that fight. I kind of wish Siegfried had a real taunt instead of just hostility up,
Hmm.
but that's also colored by the kind of fights I'm doing.
Right. Okay.
But
So now any other thoughts, or are we gonna move on to the water characters?
not really.
Okay. So we have ourselves. Let's start with Diantha. So Diantha's kit has always been a support kit. Idle on the beach. They added on a Diantha dodges all, and then they did a slight buff to the multi attack up. The multi attack up is still barely anything. It's like 50% double attack, 25% triple attack. It's like, all right, that's fine, but um, the rest of this is what you're trying to get. You get the heal to everybody, the bonus water damage to everybody, um, the and then the dodge all, and the dodge all matters because when she dodges, then she activates her new skill 2 on stage, and she gets a 20% meter boost so that she can get dodge all again sooner. And when she does that, the on stage here, so she gets hype, she gets to boost CA specs for everyone, stackable, and the CA specs go up to 100% damage and 50% cap. 50% cap is more than we normally get, so that's it's hot, it's a very high number. And then when she's at hype 4, she heals the team for 2,000 when she does this. And she has the new hype extension passive. So 2 and 3 chain, she gets an extra turn on hype. 4 chain and above, she gets a 2 turn extension on hype. And then also, she cuts debuff durations on chain bursts. So it is going to be 1 turn shaved off if you're 2 or 3 chaining, and if you're 4 chaining and above, then it's 2 turns cut off of your debuffs.
That debuff duration cut is really good. That's a really good effect and also not a common one.
Yeah, not in water at least. Um, then standing ovation over here. It gives everybody hype as it always does, and then the new thing is when her hype is 4, which is relatively easy to do, then it also gives dispel cancel. So basically, she wants the rest of your team to be CAing 4 times a turn between the 3 of them. Um, and it's hard to fit her into a team that like 4 chains that often because she doesn't count.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
So I'm still trying to figure out where she goes. I know that DJ has been using her in full auto, and she's gotten way better at full auto, like the spell cancel, the debuff reduction. Um, so if you full auto with your CA meter turned on, and you're not doing just falsehood things or something like that. This is an extremely solid character. Like she's going to keep you fighting forever. That said, I personally still don't have a use for her, but we'll find out. Like this is one of those things that gets better over time, I feel like, but maybe it's gotten worse over time. Maybe my feeling is wrong here because who else does this kind of effect where it's like I think the best CA that doesn't deal damage in the game is Nehan, and it does so much more than this.
Yeah, not dealing damage on CA is a pretty big problem for a character who is all about buffing CAs.
Mm-hmm.
I think if her CA did damage, she would be a fantastic character. As it is, I still think that she's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think she brings a lot of good stuff,
Yeah.
but I guess you would use her in like maybe a CA loop team.
That's the thing. Like, so you can use her in a CA loop team. You can try and use the function of her instead of like a Hosselia or someone like that. But if you're CA looping, then you're wasting a bunch of this here. Like the chaser is getting wasted, the multi attack up is getting wasted. So like
Mm-hmm.
you want to loop every other turn, maybe? Question mark?
Maybe, but how do you set that up?
Yeah. Um, like maybe she can save you some button time because Hoslia presses 2 buttons every cycle and Diantha just doesn't press a button. I don't know.
I
I've
guess.
I've seen fewer applications for Diantha than I have for the other 3 of these because if we're done with Diantha, we can move on to Greya, who is one of my favorite characters in the game, and her applications are very funny. I don't know if they're good yet, but they're very funny. So, all right,
This character is hilarious now.
new Greya. New Greya has always had the link up with somebody and then they become supercharged. What they do now, so while she's linked to somebody, they added things that it does. So Crescendo Waves now provides boost to CA specs, and the numbers on that. One second. Uh, so the numbers on that are her support skill. Where is that? All right, here it is. So Crescendo Waves. Uh, so now it provides the 50% CA damage, 30% CA cap. This is what it always did. It um, provides they upped the amount of refresh you get. It's a 500 refresh. Okay, sure. You still get the 15% uplift. Um, and then the new thing is that when the other ally who she's linked to triple attacks, she does Mana Agni, which the nuke is how much is it now? Mana Agni is the 635k number, so that goes up to like a little over 2 million in most modern specs. And so this in some ways becomes a supplement to what Erica does, where you hit, either a Relic Buster button or you hit a Soldier button, and then they're like, "Oh, you triple attacked out of turn," and then each of them goes off, which is really funny. Um, and then you get to her 5 Draco Exuster really quickly doing that thing. Uh, she grants Keen to you now, which I think overlaps with Erica and Erica giving Keen. So let's see here. I'll think about that later. Um, and then so we have this Draco Exusta mechanic, which just is there for it goes up to 5 stacks, and at 5 stacks it goes to 15% attack down, defense down, unique. Um, and then when you're at 5, your reward also is that she CA reactivates. And the CA reactivate, the bonus damage is, let's see here, it is 185k per hit for each level. And so she can do up to 10 hits of this, which is 1.8 million. Let's see, wait, 1.8 million before any other modifiers. So this thing can get really high on numbers, or you can play her in a team with Falsehood and you can just use her for Mana Agni over and over and over again. Like, there's a lot you can do with this character. They're all still manual, but I'm okay with that. You still have to actually click on linkage and put it on someone like Anne or the main character.
I did toy around with her a little bit. She's fun. I'm glad because I used to use this character all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually put her with Vajra, like just like the old days,
Nice.
and that builds up stacks pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's like I've seen her in Hraesvelgr stuff. Yeah, that was the stuff I was referring to with the Soldier and Relic Buster stuff. I have
Hmm.
one, so we'll try it. Yeah. This is something like I've seen comps with like Erica, Greya, and one other character along with the main character, and you just burp out as much as you can in a single turn. It's pretty funny.
It's
All right.
nice that
Oop, go ahead.
there's another way to play her now because it used to be that she was pretty much locked to a CA team.
Mm-hmm.
But now that like the multi attack and stuff on Draco Strike feels like it has a purpose other than just feeding the other person meter and feeding Graham meter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
and she's also gotten some of that auto activate kill damage, so she gets to get in on that. The other big problem that I think is a big reason why she fell off
Mm-hmm.
is just that outside of hitting the CA button and doing like 5 million, she didn't really do a lot. So once the game got to the point where only hitting one fat CA wasn't that good anymore,
Mm-hmm.
then her use kind of fell off too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair cop. All right. So that's it for the character rebalances. Overall, I think the clear winner is UL.
Hmm.
Because not only did she get like a clear way to use her, but she also has clear teams to go with her and clear fights where you can use her. The
Hmm.
others, we're still I'm still experimenting with Greya. There's gonna be a lot to do there. Like we'll see if she can shave time off of my like click a million things and kill Ultimate Bahamut team, or if she goes into like the Super Bahamut like triple attack a billion times teams. We'll see. But
I
I'm
think
looking forward to it.
I think Diantha is really, really good for people who are not at endgame yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's just
Yeah.
going to supercharge your whole team, and one character not doing CA damage is not a big deal if the rest of your team's CA damage like tripled.
Yeah. In the major water fights that you'll bring um a team to, let's see, a Tomb actually doesn't care about CA damage specifically, but he does care about overall damage. So sometimes that can hurt you. Not that often. Willness cares about hit count and like I think blind and dispel or something like
I
that.
I honestly don't remember.
All right, don't bring her to Legion Void. That's the only thing I can say for sure. Don't bring her to Legion Void. She will not help you take the disappeared debuff off.
I could see bringing her to Mugen, maybe.
So the Mugen teams that I've seen that have been trying to like readjust themselves. There was one that was posted today actually that uses Doctor with like I think it's Grea, Fediel, and a fully uncapped and skill 4 Maria Teresa in the Wamdis spot. So
I
that's
saw that one.
and so other than the fact that it costs you 3 sand and like 2 sunlight stones, it does offer something new. But that is a place to use Grea, and it looks fun. It's just that I don't want to go back into Mugen until November. That's basically my thoughts on this one.
I think that's fair. I I hope that at some point they take another look at Mugen and make it just less of a pain, more fun. I don't really know.
Yeah, that is a fair assessment. I think the main reason I don't go into Mugen is just takes so much longer than everything else.
Yeah.
And it's annoying for me personally to not know how much damage I'm taking on incoming, so that I can't always set up a combo with my Relic Buster stuff. Because like sometimes my characters die, sometimes they can't be sacrificed at all, and so I'm just stuck with them on the front line. It's like it annoys me.
hmm Yeah, and I don't like joining Mugen because you have no idea when you're joining in if he has like 2 stacks and you get to play, or if he has 20 stacks and you don't.
Yeah.
Right? You have no idea whether he's in phase 2 or if he's in phase 1 and the host just like let it idle for 5 minutes.
hmm
There's too many unknowns on joining in, and then when you do get in, the fight is honestly not very engaging.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing that we're talking about today, we have new ultimate masteries. So we're gonna go from top to bottom. We have Warlock. So Warlock's centerpiece in its ultimate masteries is this crest discharge right here, which let's at 5 crests, then you press this button and you kind of get like the Summer Cagliostra button. So everybody triple attacks. You get Chaser. Um, let's see. What else is there? So you get cap up for 3 turns, and you get damage amplification for 3 turns. And so, um, this is very very similar to the kind of thing that Cagliostro rewards you with for getting to 5 crests. Um, let me see, Warlock. All right,
It's
I'm
like
looking at the
EX
numbers.
Chaser.
All right, so it is 1 turn of triple attack, which you're playing Warlock, so you're not going to squeeze out that many extra turns. It's You can use this and line it up on Summer Anila's tag team turn. So that's one use case for this. So the Chaser is 20%, and its weakness, it's superior element damage, so it stacks with a decent chunk of things. The cap up is 15%, and the multi attack, the amplify is 20%. The amplify and the chaser and the cap up all add up together into a really funny turn if you get it to line up with the Anila turn.
hmm
Um, the next one we've got Arcane Field. Arcane Field is you turn into Rosetta. You use up meter every turn. Um, in order to get the following things: 30% perpetuity attack, 100% defense, um, a 100% chance at critting with 20% damage boost, 50% double attack, triple attack, 50% debuff resist, and let's see here, at the end of the turn, you lose meter, which is let's see here, look at kind of one indication 40%.
I remember right,
You
it's 30% at the start and then plus 10% for every level it gains.
Yes, and then a number of hits based on let's see here. It is 5, let's see, 5 times plus the level it is, up to 12 hits. So this one is really hard to use. I don't think it's ever been easy to use. Anytime they've ever made this mechanic where it takes up 40 of your meter, then 50 of your meter, then 60 of your meter, that's 70 meter, 80 meter, 90 meter, 100 meter. Like, this isn't going to last long enough.
You need so much meter gain to use this.
Yeah. And at that point, you're just like, you know what? I can get these kinds of results by giving myself 0 meter.
And Warlock does have Overtrance. So
Yeah.
you can feel it with Overtrance, but that means you're dedicating both your subslots to using Arcane Field.
And it's like, at that point, you could have used Crest Discharge, which
Right.
has a shorter cooldown, too, and lasts for 3 turns. This one is up for like 6 turns if you're overtrancing, but yeah. Um, and then Demonic Flare. Why is it a 15 turn cooldown?
I don't know.
It's in 3 turns, you get to hit a really big nuke. So this thing starts with twice the cap of other nukes that we've mentioned. But it's one single hit, so Knight of Ice doesn't matter. Harmonias or Pain and Sufferings, all that kind of stuff doesn't really work with it. Uh, it works with cap up, sure. You remove a single buff, and then you get 6 turns of like the incidental parts of the stop sign button, essentially.
The parts that aren't the stop sign.
Yeah. And so basically, Warlock comes down to, do you really want a Crest Discharge? And can you basically line it up so that you have something like a, what's it called? It's not Sheep Sweep, it's the other one, the Sheep Skill 3. GBF.
The tag team button.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I'm looking it up right now. It's called Magical Yokon. Right. Because Yo is for sheep. I get it now.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah, so anyway. So yeah, like Warlock, we're pretty much sticking with Mana Diver, unless specifically you can make Crest Discharge worth it.
That's the thing, is that it's competing with arguably the best class in the game
For damage, yeah.
directly. And Mana Diver already has what is it? Secret Triad?
Mm-hmm.
So it already has like
Everybody
one of the
triple
more
attacks with Chaser.
attractive bits of that, yeah.
Yeah. You
At
don't get
which
the amp,
doesn't
but yeah,
but it also
sorry.
doesn't have a build up.
True. It has a drawback, but not a build-up. And as we've seen, a drawback is just something you work around. And hey, the workaround is already there in Mana Diver Skill 1. You,
hmm
you hit Secret Triad, and then you suck away the dot that you one of the 3 dots that you gave them. Yeah, Rodrant says, if I want Arcane Field buffs, just play Necromancer. Also true.
You're right.
Alright, so next up, we've got Crusaor. Crusaor is a class that really fell off with the ascension of Rising Force and Kengo. People don't need to press a button to get 2 CAs, you just get 2 CAs with those classes, sometimes 3.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we've got ourselves Deuce Xiphos, which is every time that you get your second, your Ox Weapon CA, then you also get deals triple attacks for a turn, sharp boost to attack, and then you double strike. So this one's huge. I've seen. Is this the one that
That
people bring to Grand Order and just like go nuts for 2 turns?
maybe I honestly I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That sharp boost to attack is 1 turn,
Mm. Okay.
which is the double strike. If once you set this up, it deals a humongous amount of damage.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at this Crusaor video that I'm seeing here. It is using a strap stay, actually. It uses a strap stay and Arsegal is Aurum Flow. So it is not using Deus Xiphos. It uses the second one, Astrap Stay. 2 hits of elemental damage, minus attack, minus defense, 20% boost to your caster's charge bar, and it activates on Chain Burst. Oh, so that's what's happening. People are Chain Bursting twice and getting a Strap Stay after it. Um,
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think Crusader made it out pretty good.
So what I'm
I'm
seeing, go ahead.
I'm not sure how good Deus Siphos actually is. It looks really, really good on paper. I'm just not sure how to make it work.
Yeah, I think a strap stay is the easiest to make work because the auto activation condition is you have reached 100-meter with a Crusader team. It's one of the
Yeah,
easier things you can do in the game. Um, so yeah, with dual arts, you're um, is it dual arts? Hold on, it's Aurum Flow. With Aurum Flow, you're getting 40 meter every time you hit that button. Where is Aurum Flow? I haven't pressed that button in a while. Here it is, 40% meter here. Um,
and then just
and
hit skill 1 for the other 30%.
yeah, it's true. And then so once you get the five chain, then you get 10 extra hits. Um, and oh, that's funny. I'm just looking at the Crusader team, and it is Crusader Water Crusader with a Wasser Spear main hand, and the offhand is Gottfried. So the Gottfried is there to give meter to your the rest of your team. The second position is Summer Kupitan. So this is specific for Grand Order. The third position is Yukata Silva, and the fifth position is Ayata, who's level 150. And so it's there to get 2 mega chains, and then you have gotten a blue chest in Grand Order. You press 2 buttons, and you summon Beelzebub, it looks like.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Grand Order teams are so fun.
Because you get to just, like, try and figure things out, and,
Hmm. And you end up using characters that you wouldn't think about because a lot of characters in more recent years that are really strong buffers, for example, are locked to their own element because they
yeah.
really didn't want another thing happening like release Korwa.
Release Korwa, Seaphon in every team for
Yeah, that
Unite and
was.
Fight, yeah.
But
But yeah, so the Crusader, the amount of burst you can do as a Crusader now with your like full 100-meter, and if you're doing like something with a Huanglong sub summon or something like that, then it does a ton. Yeah, so this team that I'm seeing is Beelzebub and then Friend Huanglong. Um, and then the last things here, like Amber Edge is here to give you some measure of utility as a Crusader because you get Gravity, Team Uplift, and then a Veil. The problem is that it's a 10-turn cooldown. So if your MC is a Crusader, you are committing. You are committing to hitting as hard as you can. And so Amber Edge, I don't see happening, but I can definitely see uses for both the Strap Stay and Deuce Xiphos.
I could see uses for the uplift, maybe. But like you said, you don't really take this class in expecting a long fight.
You were not there for a long time. You were there for a good time. Especially since there are so many swords and katanas where that gives you the uplift by just CAing with them. Like that's
Hmm.
the reason that the video I was looking at has Gottfried, and along with Gottfried, there's a bunch of other swords that you can use, or I mean, it's not Eoyar's Beak, it's
Evanescence.
Windhose.
Oh,
Your old friend
Windhose.
Windhose. Does Evanescence give your team meter on CA?
It gives 15%, which is actually significant sometimes.
Yeah, like those are all out there, and so there's plenty you can do here. All right, we're moving on to Lumberjack, which went from being the king of full auto to being outdone by Relic Buster just because Relic Buster presses fewer buttons and doesn't animate as much while doing most of the same thing. And guess what? Lumberjack is the king of full auto again because we got Bird Song of Balmy Breeze, which cannot be removed, so you just press it once ever. Every end of turn you heal. You dispel cancel every 5 turns. And when a foe uses a special attack, you remove a debuff. You just become Lucifer. Like, you become Transcended Lucifer with this
This button
button.
is so good. This button is so good.
And the funniest thing is, there are a bunch of teams that I've seen um, where you don't actually bring this button because the other two are also extremely good. So, for example, let's say that you're an Earth Lumberjack and you have a Harp main hand, or you're a Fire Lumberjack and you have an Axe main hand, and you very conveniently have the ability to main hand your Element's Dark Opus weapon. Then you press Verdant Melody, and you get Amplify to everybody for the turns where they're double striking because you force double strike on them with your CA. And then the next time you do it, then they get Chaser. And then the third time you do it, well, that one you're not doing with Falsehood. But the third time you do it in other comps, then press this button again on turn 15 and they get Double Strike. Or you do Loglop. Loglop over here. It activates every turn while Woodcutter Song is in effect. And as you may remember from the Master level, Woodcutter Song lasts 4 turns out of 6. So let's go back to that. So for 4 out of every 6 turns, you Loglop every turn. You lower multi-attack rate. You boost everybody's multi-attack and damage cap. Sorry, it's not lower multi-attack rate. Um, you just do 3 hits of a nuke every turn. And by every turn, I mean normal attacks. So if you can find some way to double strike, then this sure does go twice. And so yeah, all 3 of these buttons are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to find flaws with other than like if you're pressing Woodcutter Song, you still get endless waves of dogs and chickens and whatnot animating all over the place.
I can't believe they buffed Ereshkigal again.
Hey, this is. I don't know if this is an Andromeda buff at all. But Lumberjack has always been a good class. It just took a long time, and now it survives anything that you throw at it with Birdsong.
This is this is a really, really good class. It gets the most important parts of 250 Lucy, well, 230 Lucy,
hmm
and
The
it
Dispel Cancel does also come from 250 Lucy. I'd forgotten about that and had it pointed out to me.
it's kind of better than Lucy's Dispel Cancel, honestly, because that lasts 2 turns and this is 1 time.
Oh yeah, so it just stays until it's actually used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I shouldn't say better, but more likely to apply, maybe?
hmm
But yes, this class is very, very good.
Yeah. It never stopped being good. It just got like onerous and things were faster while doing enough of the defense that you were fine. Now it's just like, okay, okay, we get it. We get it. You want us
Mhm,
to beat this thing on full auto.
mhm. It's also just it getting new skills is really nice because for sub-slot skills, you would take, like, leaf burning, right?
And that's
And
it.
then maybe dappled sunlight if you're playing manually,
hmm
but this was pretty much a 1 EMP skill, and sometimes you really wish you didn't have to take the 1 EMP skill class.
hmm
And now it's, "Oh god, why can't I take all 3 of these?"
True, very true. Because it's like you tended to take the defensive special, which was leaf burning, just because you had to take a lumberjack skill. You took mist and then you took gravity a lot of time, and sometimes instead of gravity you took dispel, which was the generic like I want to full auto and walk away, and when I come back this thing will be dead and I won't be dead. Setup. And now you have actual things to bring other than like you're not gonna bring mist anymore because Woodcutter Song takes care of mist. You could take gravity if you wanted to, but it's like, hey, if the enemy see it, like takes a special action, you just get rid of a debuff. Okay. All right.
Hmm.
So next up, we've got Robin Hood. Robin Hood has stayed a good class as well. Um, One of the funny things we pointed out is that Return of the Fox has never worked with Robin Hood's other skills. Robin Hood, sorry, it was it never worked with another red skill because they were just like, this was the Hercules clause. Well, they're like, you know what, Hercules is not even the best anymore. So get at it, friends. Just hit Rebellion Shot twice. Why not? We don't care because Thousand Arrows is one of those ones that has such a restriction that using Return of the Fox to get the cooldown back doesn't actually do anything. So the first two skills up here, they're there for when you are playing auto. Or not, yeah, if you just don't want to worry about what to press. So Thousand Arrows is 20 hits. It lowers multi-attack. It lowers accuracy. It also requires you to hit 7 buttons before you press this one. You have to hit a skill 7 times. So even your full Return of the Fox combo will not get you 1,000 arrows until you have pressed another 2 buttons. You need to
Yeah,
actually get to 7.
this will basically take 5 turns to get out almost always, unless you queue in just to get it out, which
Hmm.
is
That said, my favorite thing about any such of these, like this exists for combo video things, is if you've never been to the Twitter account of one Tomo underscore GBF, they specialize, like they have, it's just like clockwork. Anytime there's like a 20 hit skill, they're like, all right, I'm bringing Holiday Mahira. I'm bringing Tien at level 150. We have Flare. I know the timings of Flare like the back of my hand. And we're just going to hit this button and see what happens. And so the latest Tamo video is 30 seconds of chickens being set off after 1,000 arrows. It's a full 30 seconds of just chickens from Mahira because you do so much damage. It's also turned like 51, so it's not practical, but it's beautiful and that's what matters. That said, I've never taken 1,000 arrows as a button.
yeah. It
Go ahead.
this is it. Once you actually get it out, it does similar things to like Valentine's Grimnir skill too,
Hmm.
but it just takes a really long time.
Hmm. And with a class whose signature skill is Return of the Fox, having a skill that doesn't do anything when you Return of the Fox is actually a huge downside. Like you're
Yeah.
encouraged to take something else, but it's like, but Return of the Fox gets you to 1,000 arrows faster, and then the next 1,000 arrows comes a little bit faster after that. But it's just like, So we're looking here at Rebellion Shot though. Well, okay, sorry, the Tomo GVF thing is still making me laugh because it's like, oh yeah, that's right, it was a Hercules 1,000 arrows, so it's actually 40 hits. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, Rebellion Shot, very simple. 3 hits of damage, remove a buff. When a foe has 5 or more buffs, you get one automatically. So you Howlmal it a little bit. One of the few things that Robin Hood couldn't do was dispel. So now it can. So nice. It's a nice thing to have in the slot. Then the one that actually has changed a lot about the class, rapid knocking. So you get to choose yellow arrow, red arrow, or purple arrow. I can't remember the names of them right now, but yellow arrow turns you into Poseidon because you always triple attack. Each attack is 3 hits of randomly targeted damage, and you lose uh, a lot of charge bar gains, like
You
minus
it
35% or something.
it's a minus 100%. You lose all your charge bar
Oh, you
gain.
lose all of it. Okay, so all right then. But on the other hand, you become your own like Halloween Kookaroo slash Poseidon slash three uh 3 stack Mimlimel, etc. And so I've seen this one for the I want to get through um, Diaspora without actually having to hit 8 million buttons, but still have the debuff power of Robin Hood whenever I want to. So that one has become a very common Robin Hood strategy if you have access to the characters for it. And also, yeah, it works really well with things like Emerald Fog, which lets you supplement a bunch of that damage. Because if you have the yellow thing and you have like 2 chasers, then you're doing 27 hits, and you get 27 hit like procs of Emerald Fog. It's really good. It's
Hmm.
amazing. Um, then we have, let's see, the red arrow is crit, keen, hit to multi-attack rate, and then on using your charge attack, you deep shot. And deep shot is effectively what, weaker bore from Beelzebub?
Yeah,
Like,
weaker bore.
okay. Have you seen anything that uses this?
Um, no, I don't
Okay,
think it's bad, but I think the other two are stronger.
okay. Because yeah, the last one is you lose defense, which is interesting because Robin Hood has a natural dodge buff, right? On itself, has a
I
dodge
think so.
passive.
Yeah.
Boost to dodge rate based on debuffs here. Yeah. You do not have a natural dodge buff. You have to have debuffs on there. Anyway, so uh, after you attack, you do minus defense, minus attack, toxicosis, and a random debuff. And so if there is any kind of like debuff omen that you need to get rid of, this thing also helps a lot, because it's 4 debuffs. And the debuffs are really good because I saw, let's see, there was like corrosion or whatever it's called, the one that's
Hmm.
damage over time and also debuff success rate.
Hmm.
Um, we saw what, accuracy down. We
And
saw
forfeit.
yeah, and forfeit. So these are,
Those
yeah,
those are all really strong. Apparently the accuracy down is 50% too, which is crazy good.
yeah. So yeah, you choose yellow or purple arrow, and you're just very happy with being a Robin Hood and it's hitting the attack button.
I think red arrow is not bad, but the best the best part of it is like the deep shot, right? The
Supplemented
supplemental
damage.
damage.
Yeah,
But it pretty much turns off your ability to multi-attack, I think.
it does.
And like you can double attack with Name Summon Beelzebub or 3 Beelzebub stacks.
Right.
But only being able to charge attack is like the worst way to use supplemental damage, just generic supplemental
And
damage.
also, the class already provides supplemental damage on a button if you want it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the use cases for this are like you deep shot, CA, and then the next turn you swap to yellow arrow.
Which takes 7 turns. Like, that's not an insignificant thing.
No, it really doesn't work with anything else that the class wants to do.
Yeah. All right, but at least you have 2 very good options, and the third one's kind of there.
Hmm.
All right, so that's Robin Hood, which also got a big glow up from this. The I believe the last one then,
Doctor.
Doctor. Doctor's over here. Doctor's kind of weird because Doctor, for a while before Lumberjack, was our sustain class because it has potion refinement and has vaccine, right?
Hmm.
Those were the reasons. Sorry, not vaccine, nutrients.
Hmm.
Vaccine is what comes from potion refinement over here. Um, and now what they're doing is, so here's primary care. It's just Galleon. So elemental attack up. So it's not Chaser actually. It's not the same as Galleon. Defense up, double attack up, damage cap up, charge meter gain up, and then if you've done this twice, then all your debuffs go away and you heal. It's a 10 turn cooldown though, and Doctor has no natural way of reducing its cooldowns, unlike other characters who have this kind of ability. Like I said, it goes back to Galleon, and you just CA with Galleon and she does it again. It's not instant, but you do it a couple times. You play the game, and Galleon can do it again. Outperform is one of the reasons I've seen to actually bring this class, because it's one of the targeted CA reactivates, and it gives CA specs up. So having targeted CA reactivate to someone other than the MC or yourself is very powerful. But that goes back to being manual, because this is a targeted effect. And then here's high immunity. It uses a green pot. You get 5 turns of Dispel Cancel, so it just sticks around for a full 5 turns. You get 5 turns of debuff resistance, which is probably 100%. And it gives you.
100%.
What was that?
It's
It is.
100%.
Yeah. And you get um, the Unchallenged on here. And so what I've actually seen with this is that Doctor is now the next viable Mugen class, because it doesn't give a crap when Mugen goes up in the air. You're just like, okay, high immunity, move on with my life. And then you bring high immunity, you bring outperform, and you're set for that fight, basically. Losing the HP every turn is something they can work around fairly easily when you're um, removing the other ability of the other ways that Mugen can do damage to you. So I will reassess this class when we're going back to Mugen.
Mm.
But until then, um, that's the ultimate masteries. How many of these have you used?
I messed with Warlock. I messed with Crusaor.
Hmm.
I actually don't like playing Robin Hood that much, so I tested out the arrows and then I went, I'm good.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
haven't played with Lumberjack or Doctor yet. I actually really like Doctor as a class. I
Hmm.
think it's a lot of fun, but I haven't messed with it yet. It looks pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I know I keep saying that, but
So the big thing with Doctor is that you'll still want to play this like mostly manual,
mhm,
essentially.
yeah,
Or you'll play it with like high immunity, and you'll just accept that your full auto will hit it twice, because you're not hitting potion refinement outside of uh, manual.
right.
Um, I am laughing. It's like, there's no reason for you to play Robin Hood. You bought a Rumfire. Like, you have that. You just you can play any spear class, and you have made yourself into Poseidon/Grimnir. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fair.
I
All right.
remember. So this is really, really specific
Mhm.
to uh people who have way too much investment in specifically wind. But I remember when Vania released,
Mhm.
Yukata Vania released, and people immediately looked at her and went, Murcielago? Murcielago? And my thoughts on that at the time were kind of the weapon doesn't really do what Vania wants to do because Vania likes to auto,
Mhm.
and Murcielago wants you to charge attack.
Right.
And there isn't really or there wasn't really a bow class that auto attacks. And now Robin Hood has Fleet Fox, or not, what is it, Rapid Knocking?
Mhm.
So suddenly Robin Hood likes to auto attack very, very much. Sure, MC doesn't gain any meter anymore, but the other passives still work for everyone else.
Mhm.
So that's a potentially interesting combo.
Okay. But that said, it's a
That's
very expensive one for the
yeah,
word
that's
interesting and not powerful necessarily.
right. That's you have 150 gold moons to blow, and you have a specific limited.
Oh man.
Um, I
So,
was
what's
pretty
up?
excited for Warlock
Mhm.
before this happens, and I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a
But
fair
it,
assessment.
mostly because I don't know, Mana Diver exists and is very very strong.
Yeah, it is just the fastest in the game. It also helps. So, um, not just is it just powerful, but it also turns off your CA for benefit, as opposed to just turning off your CA so that you just save time. So,
Hmm.
good old Mana Diver.
Hmm. And
Um,
it's also way easier to run
True.
because it doesn't really have heavy requirements on its skills, unlike Warlock Ultimate Masteries.
Hmm.
It's when your competition is Mana Diver, it's not surprising that you come up short, but it's
That's
still a
fair
little
enough.
disappointing.
Yeah, like Robin Hood, Crusaor, and Doctor don't have that kind of tier 5 competition.
Right.
All right. All right, with those said, we are done for the night. Thank you for joining me and babbling for 75 minutes about Granblue Fantasy.
Thanks
Um,
for asking me.
yeah, thanks for hanging. Uh, God, next week I'm going to be at Tokyo Game Show, and mostly what I've been doing is just looking at what's at the store and just being like, have you seen this Monster Hunter thing? Have you seen this Monster Hunter thing? Have you seen this Phoenix Wright thing? Um, but next week's show, I think we'll have DJ again. I'm not sure. I'll be doing it from Japan for sure. Um, and then, so what we have coming next is we've got our 5-star Yodarha coming tonight. And also coming tonight, it looks like it'll be Flash Gala because they didn't announce the next draw banner yet. So exciting times. We'll see. We'll have new shiny toys, and well, we'll talk about them next time. So thanks again, Reno, for shooting the breeze with me.
Nope, thanks again for having me. I'm
Yeah.
pretty excited to see what 3 a.m. Pacific brings.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Good night.